you'd become their boss.
That's very true. We'd be a lot farther along today if they'd known that. So last year was the year of change, and it was the year of uncertainty, and it was really, last year was the hardest. I've been in this business 27 years. It was the hardest year ever, because I was the tip of the spear for trying to get folks to think differently about doing things, and we got hammered. You know, people were really uncomfortable with things, and again, it's a lot of the fear of the unknown in newsrooms, and you see this around the country. People are worried about, you know, are we going to turn into just a click machine where we're just going to put up any Britney Spears story to drive traffic? That's people's worst fear. I suspect deep down there wondering, if I don't know how to do this stuff, am I going to get laid off next week? So that was pretty tough. But then we got acquired. The business has gone down the drain. Not down the drain, but the business is declining really rapidly. Actually, yeah, a lot of companies would like to have our problem of almost $1 billion in revenue every year. Now the whole building gets it. Everybody gets it, and everybody acknowledges that we've got to change quickly. And so,
so the attitudes have changed. Before you were getting flat out no's when you would go and run some of these ideas around.
Yeah.
Now they're warming up.
Now it's how can I help? What can I do across the board? I mean, the pockets of resistance have pretty much all collapsed, and it's really cool.
And before we open up, I want to ask you, you've had an incredible brain drain. Some of the biggest names in the paper have taken buyouts in a couple different buyout situations you've had now. Is it fair to say you think the bleeding stopped? You don't expect any further cuts at this point?
I wouldn't say that in this environment at all. Yeah, so we have had, I think, over the last 7 years, we've had 6 rounds of buyouts, and the problem with all of that have been is that they've been this self-selecting group of people. We haven't, in most of the cases, we haven't limited who we're going to let go. So it's been this open. A lot of it's been open call, and you get people who've already won Pulitzer Prizes or feel like they've done everything they could do in their careers, and they want to go try something else. So we've kind of let a lot of people go that I don't think we should have let go. And we have lost a lot of big names, but we're a really big operation, and we have 15 Pulitzer Prize winners on our staff who have their names on the statues. We have dozens of other Pulitzer Prize winners who are part of the wildfires Pulitzer coverage, the Northridge earthquake coverage, the North Hollywood shootout, editors, copy editors, designers, photographers, people who contributed to the overall package. So we've lost a lot of talent, but one of the beauties of the LA Times is we still got tons of really terrific people there. I was joking with somebody out in the hallway before the thing that we're down to our last 830 people. Right? So that's a nice thing.
So you think even with the cutbacks, with the change of ownership, and the peculiarities of Pulitzer boards, you think you're going to be in the running this year and not this year, but next year and following years?
Almost.
You don't think that your changes are going to get in the way of how the newspaper is viewed?
No, I don't think so. Because the trick will be, we still have over 800,000 people every day who like what we're doing, and that's still the 3rd largest newspaper in the country, 2nd largest daily. You guys only work weekends.
It's nice, I might add.
Yeah, I know, we're jealous of that. And then almost 1 million too on Sunday who like what we're doing, and so the trick is going to be, we don't want to give up our foreign and national coverage, and we're not going to. We're not going to give up our high-level investigative stuff. And we're gonna have to figure out a way to get more local. I think there are ways to do that and keep the paper looking robust and still vital in Southern California. I would say it maybe be more relevant than we have been.
But can you give us a hint of what you are going to give up? When you first introduced yourself to the staff, you said, there's some things that we just simply can't do anymore given our staffing levels.
Right.
And I just wonder if you can give us a sense of what we might.
I can give you some examples of things that we have given up. That's the next day-long retreat. We're going to have that conversation.
That'll go well. Sure.
The editors are meeting with their sections, in the coming weeks to figure that out. But for example, in our metro section, we had people out in the Riverside area who were covering the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. I don't think anybody in the LA Times, any of our readers are looking to us tell them what's going on at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. That's what the Press Enterprise is for. It's a really good local paper. What they're looking for from us are interesting stories from Riverside about, which is one of the biggest foreclosure markets in the whole country, and how people are wrestling with that. That's the kind of story we should be doing in Riverside. And which is, we're not going to give up covering LA City Hall or the Board of Supervisors or the stuff that's really the big government and public institutions that are in LA County and in Orange County. But it's stuff that's on the fringe, and in Metro in particular, our new Metro editor, David Lauder, who's doing a fabulous job. He's walking away from a lot of stuff, some of which I can't even recognize. It's been so subtle. That's something that we're sort of in the process of doing right now. We've had to make some of those decisions, along over the years as we've cut back over the last 7 years, and that's one of the things that's also causing a lot of strain on our newsroom. I talked about also on day one was the great thing about our newsroom is that we still have unbridled ambition, and so we're still trying to cover the whole world like crazy, but we only have 2/3 as many people to do that as we did 5 years ago. So I'm trying to keep people from winding up in the hospital with carpal tunnel syndrome or stress or whatever. We have to. I don't think our readers are expecting us to be the be-all and end-all of everything.
Your new managing editor, for instance, in the business section now, if you notice the business front on Sundays, oftentimes is one big story, a consumer-oriented feature. Is that an example of the kind of things you think might be coming to the rest of the paper, of ways of maybe using bigger pictures and art and maybe one centered focus story rather than a lot of stories on different things?
Thank you. That's a great example, and I can talk a little bit about that. The business section in particular has been, I would hold up as a model of how we're trying to be more relevant. The focus has shifted from a more traditional business section that's a lot about companies and corporations and that sort of a thing to a focus on consumers. There's 18 million consumers out there. There's only, I don't know how many corporations there are, but it's a heck of a lot less than that. So we're aiming for a wider market, and with the Sunday section in particular, it used to be Davon's the first business editor, probably in the history of the paper, who's been able to anchor that thing in a topic that's really rung true with readers. It's very personal finance focused. We used to have a mix of profiles and company stories and foreign trade stuff that didn't have a good cohesive feel to it. And this stuff is really consumer focused and targeted. It's very user friendly. The stories, they had one a few weeks ago. Well, he does it almost every week, where the lead text element is just 6 or 8 inches in big type, and then you flip inside, and there's a nice package of stuff that's more digestible and bite-sized, but it's not insulting to our readers' intelligence. It's not dumbed down simpleton stuff. It's very user-friendly. We've had a lot of web components to augment that. The guys in sports have also done a terrific job in dealing with their space. They started doing stuff last year where Jim Peltz, our auto writer, and Sam Farmer, our NFL writer, on the heading into the weekend, they could write, 2 years ago, we would have be a 25-inch advance, all text, no photos, about here's the weekend's football games, or here's what's coming up in NASCAR this weekend. And Sam developed this thing called the nickel package, where with no words, no text, it's no traditional text, but he takes a look at like 5 key parts of the most interesting games this weekend. He'll break down who stops the run best, or how the Seahawks run against the Packers, and it's a really cool mix of stuff. Jim does the same thing with auto racing, and you can tell stories differently and make them more interesting in that regard.
And it sounds like you think that's the wave of the future: non-traditional, surprising coverage and analytical pieces.
Yes. I think that, and this isn't just us, but I mean every news organization out there, and the media landscape has never been more crowded with more voices and more noise, and we've got a bazillion bloggers out there, so there's a lot to choose from when you go online or looking for news and information, and we have to stand out. Every organization's got to figure out a way to what sets them apart. How do you stand out? And for us, sort of a no-brainer. Southern California, pretty interesting place. Nobody can cover it like we can, and then there are things that we've talked about that we want to own. Our big stories like real estate, immigration, education, healthcare, Lakers, Dodgers, the restaurant scene, that sort of a thing.
Let's open it up. Why don't you, if you have a question, raise your hand. Why don't you give us your name too, if you don't mind? This gentleman right here.
Hi, my name is Joseph Mailander. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the state of investigative reporting across the board at your newspaper.
Sure. The question was,
Did everybody hear that?